Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. Normally, you would hear Corey's sultry voice doing our introductions, but he is at the happiest place on Earth where he had to ride out a tropical storm last night. So, joining me in the cockpit's chair tonight, you know him, you love him, the Titan of our Tower Vanguard, Yeetus Deletus, the Baracus, the harbinger of Ragnarok, the man who wishes he had his own Leviathan axe. Maybe one day he'll be worthy enough. A1 Johnny.
Slumming it again.
Slumming it again with my bitches. In case you're wondering, I do not have a whole lot of energy tonight. My girlfriend and I finally got hit by the COVID bug, everyone. It happened. 2.5 years. She's a healthcare worker.
You broke your streak, man. You were going strong.
Dude, I was going full. I was multiple times flawless on this, by the way. But I forgot to reset my card, and here we are. I was literally just thinking like 2 weeks ago, like, goddamn, I really need to like set aside some time to go get my second booster, because I have to set aside a couple days because it knocks me on my ass so bad when I get one of those shots.
Yeah, it can really. Your mileage may vary, but it can absolutely whoop your ass, that vaccine.
Dude, it fucks me up something fierce. I have to like make sure I set aside a few hours to do, well, not a few hours. I have to set aside a couple days. Like, better not get anything done the rest of that day and have like another day or two to just lay around, because I'm going to be tired. I'm going to feel like shit. Well, I have taken 2 rapid tests. I personally do not have it. I have a pretty wicked cold, and I think I have the beginnings of. She not only has COVID, she has strep throat. So, yeah, it's been.
Viruses are out there teabagging on the field.
Dude, they're teabagging. They got a we ran. It's bad. It's all bad news out here. And then on top of that, Telesto decided to become sentient this week, and there's a basically non-existent TWAB. John and I are gonna talk. We're gonna talk a little bit of Telesto. We're gonna talk a little bit of Destiny. There's not a whole lot of Destiny to talk. Corey will be back next week. We'll have another show or two before 2 shows, I guess, maybe before Thanksgiving. I need to look at my calendar real fast. I think we'll have another 2 shows before Thanksgiving. One show. We'll have one more show before Thanksgiving. I take that back. And then we'll be back for 1 episode before the next season. So 2 shows before the next season. Very anxious for that comp rework news, which I suspect is it has to be coming on either the 17th or the 1st.
Yeah, what's the TWAB forecast before the next season launches? You think we're going in completely blind?
God,
other than
dude, I don't know, and it's like it's making me a little anxious, because like at a time when community sentiment is like at one of its lower points, and I want to kind of address that for a second, like the white elephant in the room, because. Yeah. There's been a lot of complaints online. I've seen a lot of people like running around posting that Steam screenshot of, oh, this is the lowest player count that the game's ever had. We have at least 6 instances, I believe. At least 6. It may be a few more instances where the population was lower, and it is always at the end of a season or at the end of an expansion. And we are at the end of the 3rd season. People are starting to feel some fatigue. I will say that I do not think overall that the seasonal structure has been as good this year. I think last year it was such a hit because, man, we had a really accessible raid in Deepstone. We had some awesome story stuff happen with Crow and with the Hawkmoon quest. We had Presage, we had the Season of the Chosen plot line, we had Splicer, like, oh my god, we're teaming up with Mithrax, we had Season of the Lost, we're back in the Dreaming City, Savathun is actually here in the
we got a new waifu in Destiny with Cadle.
Oh, dude, Zavala finally found love in a hopeless place. It was great. It's been fantastic. I think, like, the one thing I seem to see, like, across the board is that the sentiment is that the story team has only gotten better. It has only gotten better through all of this. Like, from Arrivals onward, it's only gotten better. And I completely agree. We've gone through 2.5 years now of the by far the longest time we've ever gone in Destiny with good meaningful plot beats in every single season. This season might be like, I see a lot of people arguing, but I think this season is like kind of our first tease for plot lines that will be resolved after the final shape, but they need to start planting the seeds now. But it's also very clear that Mithrax is one of our greatest allies going into the fight against the Witness, right? Nothing that Corey and I haven't said before. But I think you combine that with how exhausting this seasonal seal is, and it's a bad one. I go and get these pretty easily, and like, I know there's always some weird requirement. It's like, okay, fine, I don't mind doing it. This season really, really got to me, and if it wasn't for a cool title, and I didn't really want that seasonal, this is where they get me, man. They get me with the seasonal pins, okay? They get me with the badges. I really like the insignia, because it's the insignia of the pirate flags. I really like it. But at a certain point, some of these requirements are ridiculous. You know, we had people complaining about, you know, the champions step, you know, and I agree.
Ruffians.
Well, that's another one. I'm talking about several weeks ago. We talked about one of the weekly quests on the season pass was for go kill 50 champions or something, and you got like 6 times the progress in Master Catch Crash, and then they just auto completed it for everyone because it was ridiculous to tie that to a weekly quest. And I completely agreed with it at the time. I thought, okay, this is a little silly. The fact that they saw that and did not think, oh, we need to nerf the ruffian step was a pretty bad misread. But that's not even the most egregious thing. So imagine that you've suffered through that, and you've got, if you are one of the few, the proud, the brave, the ruffian slayers who got this before week 10, you got to be sitting there coasting thinking, man, I'm feeling pretty good. Then you open up week 10 and you realize that the final repute that you need in order to finish the board for the season, which is one of the requirements for the seal, is go open 15 more chests at the end of expeditions. You have already, at bare minimum, you have done 25 of these runs, and that's if you have teammates that cooperated every single step of the way.
They really turned the knob on grind just too far overall.
It's funny, you know. It's a little funny, right? Because like, you have a lot of these content creators who are like, we need more of a grind, there's no grind in this game anymore, and then they did this and they're like, wait, no, not like this. Like, yes, no, very much not like this. Like, the seasonal seals, as far as I see them, are supposed to be the ones that the more casual players can earn. I'm not opposed to having something a little challenging in them. I think the time trial ones can sometimes be a little challenging for those who don't like to use LFG or having to do like a master version of an activity. Okay, I don't think that's too unreasonable. I'm doing something like this, though, just like kills your will to live. And then on top of that, on top of this egregiousness, we got the Ghost Rider seal for Festival of the Lost. And I covered this last week, my exasperations with this seal. Zhao and I were grinding some stuff out, and I was just like, after every run, I was just like, man, I just want to die a little. I want to die a little bit more each time, because it's like, do I want to go bang out 35 haunted sectors, which is awful, by the way, or do I want to go suffer through ruffians? Yep. And then no, I still have to do an additional like 7 or 8 runs to finish my final repute. Man, I don't know. With like 3 weeks left in the season, I don't know if I have it in me. I don't know if I have it in me to do like 7 more expeditions, and you have to dig up the treasure at the end, which means I have to go do more catch crashes on top of that.
And I feel like they got that backwards, honestly. I feel like expedition should have been the thing you do once a week, and then you go grind catch crashes. You know, that would have been more fun and more.
I just don't understand in what reality we decided not to make every champion count as a ruffian, and why there is some absurd requirement to get them to even spawn.
And the fact that they despawn within 20 seconds if you don't do a very specific, you know, it's weird.
Well, we fixed that. It took half the season, but we fixed that.
Oh, did they finally fix it?
Yeah, they did. They did it as a hot fix, because that's what we were all laughing about. Like, oh, so you hot fixed this, but you didn't fix the actual requirement. Okay. Or the timers. Okay, cuz I got you. I think that kind of like points to part of why player engagement is down a little bit is some of these ridiculous requirements. I had the same critique about Haunted. I thought Haunted was a pretty rough season. A lot of people had trouble with the VIPs. You had to go kill on the Leviathan. I really lucked out in like the first 2 days of the season. I was just like hanging out on the Leviathan in some of these rooms. Like I literally just left my controller there while I was doing something around the house, and I heard like something spawn in, and I went like my screen like went dark, and I was like, oh shit, like what is happening? Went and killed him. I lucked out. People were camping out for hours to get those kills, and then on top of that, you
Jesus.
had to do 50 tier 3 runs. That is insane. Or
Absurd.
50 tier 3 runs with claiming the chest at the end. I
It's the same thing we said about Dares of Eternity last year. It's
it's
unfortunate when
man.
they take something that's fun and make you do it until you hate it. You know,
Or you just have something that's not fun to begin with, like the derelict Leviathan, and make you do it 50 times.
Yeah.
Like Catch Crash and Expeditions, I think are actually really cool activities, but we have one Catch Crash map, and I understand you don't want to make a bunch of maps for something that's going to go away. I can sympathize with that. I would almost have rathered those been 3-person activities, because maybe then you could have reused them in the Vanguard Ops playlist.
Yeah.
You can't do that with the Expeditions at all.
Hey, I've been asking for it every year since Menagerie. Let's get a six-man playlist going, you know?
Well, and that's one of the things that I threw out a while back, is that I would actually love if they made, in the future when we go like more cloud-based, I would love if they made Hawthorne or Ikora a vendor for that. Like, oh,
Yeah.
there's a 6-person playlist, and you bring
That
back the greatest hits. You throw Menagerie in there. You throw an Override in there. You
fuck it. I'll
throw
do a Vex offensive again as long as I
yeah,
don't have to do 50 of them,
you
you
put a
know?
fucking Vex offensive in there. You could, I mean, when Dares of Eternity gets removed, you could throw Dares of Eternity in there. You could have all these.
Ikora already had the Ikora's memories back at Vanilla launch,
Yep.
you know?
I mean, you could do some stuff like this, similar to how I think in the Vanguard playlist, there is absolutely no reason that you can't add some of these expunges. You could add an
Mm-hmm.
expunge, even if it's just the one where you fight Kira. You could put that one in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Um, I still fail to understand why Persage needed to be vaulted. That's still very weird to me.
Yeah, it wasn't even tied to a location.
No, I think it may be because people will get like confused when Osiris inevitably comes back. Like, why is Osiris kind of like evil in this? But I think it's time to move beyond the fear of confusing new lights. Like, spoiler alert, guys, they're already confused. I don't understand why Outbreak Perfected needed to be why the Outbreak mission needed to be vaulted. Whisper of the Worm makes sense. IO no longer exists, but that also like exists outside of space and time.
Those could be another fun. If we're not going to get rid of leveling, those could be another fun rotator for what's dropping a pinnacle every week. You know,
I mean, yeah, I could see like like I don't know, like Lost Lights or something. Like call it something like that. Like have those kind of rotate through those secret missions. You could make the Hawkmoon mission a little amended. I guess amended is the word I'm looking for. And you could throw that in there, like.
And if we're not going to put mods as a drop in Legend Lost Sectors, let's put them somewhere,
dude. I don't even get me fucking started. Legend Lost Sectors is another sore point. Like that's something that's souring me on the game right now is the Legend Lost Sectors, right? Like, and I don't want the top of this show to be like, oh, here's everything wrong with Destiny before we go talk about things that aren't.
Let's
Destiny.
shit about Destiny and talk about 2 games that have nothing to do with this podcast. No.
It's really frustrating though, because like I understand why the player count is dipping, but to go and content creators are clearly like running out of things to do, and this isn't like let's shit on content creators, but like when you have people openly making these videos complaining about the low player counts and like critiquing it, and then having to go back and issue an apology 36 hours later because they hadn't looked at the actual Steam database charts that the rest of us have seen, and be like, yeah, so like I love him, but old Ricky Kakis did this.
Hey, my man's got a hustle. He just had a kid. You know what I mean? He's
not even 24 hours later had to go, hey guys, I hear y'all loud and clear. I'm really sorry. Like, and that would be
But
fine if this was like the first time that y'all did this, but it's like the same 10 to 12 guys who do this every time. Every couple of seasons they do this and are like, oh, why is Destiny's player count low? Well, if you could learn how to read a graph, you would see that this usually happens at the end of the midway through the second month, maybe the end of the second month of a season. Just about every season it dips. We are late in the year. The trials loot has been particularly underwhelming this year.
yep.
There are a lot of people.
PvP is PvP.
PvP is a complete hellscape right now. Like, I'll be honest, like I'm in favor of skill-based matchmaking, but that has soured so many people. I do not
Yeah.
agree with the assertion that skill-based that Crucible keeps this game alive. I don't agree with that at all. But I think when across the board, like, yeah, sure, King's Fall is great, but King's Fall is like every other raid. Like, after about 6 or 7 weeks, all the hardcore raiders are done because they've
I,
run it like 30 times at least.
yeah. I don't
Um,
think Crucible keeps the game alive, but it is a big source. It can be, has the potential to be, and has in the past been what you do at the end of the season when there's nothing else to do. It's
sure,
log
sure,
on and go
and I
play
mean,
some Crucible.
you and I are testaments to that. Like, we want to play some Destiny. We don't want to hang out in strikes. We don't. Gambit is God. If we're complaining about Crucible, Gambit is like Mad Max's wasteland at this point. Um, we have habitually gotten our group together and we've gone and they're just like, hey, 2 or 3 of us are online, let's just go play some Control, let's go play some Mayhem, some Momentum Control. Like, Iron Banner's next week. I'll be hanging out in Iron Banner a little bit. I really
Yep.
like Eruption.
Yeah,
um
Eruption's fun, and that's
but
another
I
weird point is why it's only twice a season. If you know,
Yeah, they
but
they got to revert that. We need that back to 3 times a season.
yeah,
That helps make the game feel a little bit more alive. That gives me a reason to log in the third month, honestly.
That's what's funny is it felt like too much Iron Banner when Iron Banner was the same thing for 6 years running or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
now that they're doing new interesting things with it, they reduced it to twice a season when people actually want to play it. It's it's weird.
Yeah, there's been some really weird design choices. But I think like my biggest sore point, and the one that I see the most, and I agree with and empathize with the most, is the seasonal upgrade system. I don't mind
No,
being locked out of things for a few weeks. If it takes me like 4 or 5 weeks to complete the chart, I don't mind doing that. It's when it takes 10 weeks though, and we get that every single season. This is
yeah,
the I
it
don't
took
remember.
until Festival of the Lost to get all of the upgrades for that damn table.
Dude, that's if you were able to get them all done. I'm still missing 2 because I still have to do 7 more of these goddamn expeditions.
Yep. I stopped caring. I got the pattern for the scout and the sidearm
Yep.
and the slug shotty. And
I'll be honest, that was about the point that I wanted to dip out. But again, I'm a slut for pirate themed things. I'm in a pirate clan, John. Okay,
oh
I
no, I
have to
get it.
do it.
I
I
get
have
it.
to do
Luckily,
it.
you know how much of a whore I am for this game and how much time I put into it. I just don't care at all
I
about
think it's
seasonal
pretty notable
titles.
that even you're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that
You
I'm
know
seeing
how
this.
much what was it, Fractalist? What did Osiris make us farm in
Oh Christ,
Season of Dawn?
you and Phil, man,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That I dipped out at that point and said enough is enough. But even with me working on this seal, this is on par to be the lowest amount of time I've played in a season since Undying. I am at level 155 in my pass. I finished Undying at 169. No other season have I ever finished below 200.
Yeah. Yeah, if it wasn't for Grandmasters, I probably wouldn't have logged in. Last month I would have jumped in for Festival of the Lost just to get a couple. I mean, the sniper rifle
Yeah.
and Jurassic Green has some
Well, and the
amazing
thing is,
rolls
if you
now.
played
But
Festival of the Lost in like the first 3 days, they give you a god roll on accident
yeah,
of the sniper. So I can't tell you how many Macabres I deleted, how many Jurassic Greens I deleted because I got an incandescent with I forget what my other perk was. I want to say it was tunnel vision.
mm,
So I was like, oh well, it's a rapid fire pulse. That's what I want on this. I'm done. I'm good.
yep. Yeah, I got
Um,
Subsistence Incandescent and Subsistence Golden Tricorn, and both of those are awesome.
yeah, like
Yeah,
and I'm in the same boat as you, right? Like I've played more Fortnite than Destiny this, and I haven't played a whole lot of Fortnite either. This season, it's just I think that's the kind of thing that I'm seeing across the board is like we're all just so exasperated, but I don't. It's not with the game. Like, yes, we are frustrated with the state of PvP. PvP is it's unacceptable at this point how PvP is looking. We talk about this like once a month. I don't want to tread old ground, especially with the comp rework supposedly coming. Joe Blackburn's comments the other day on Twitter, before Twitter implodes, seemed to indicate that that is going to come in the next week or two. Like before the end of November, we will know exactly what's on the table for comp rework. And I mean, good luck. Season before a new expansion, there's going to be a whole lot of people. This is bad. John's cracking another beer. Where we know that season before Lightfall is going to have a whole lot of engagement. It's going to have a lot of story threads. There's going to be a brand new dungeon. Like engagement's going to go up. You've got the Dawning, which I'm honestly like I'm probably not even going to give a shit about the Dawning, to be frank. I was tired of this event 2 years ago, and it depends on what the title is.
Josh, that's when Titans get their coolest armor every year, though.
I mean, you're a fucking Gundam, John. Okay. I forgot to buy my Gundam armor for my Titan because I was just so disillusioned with this game. Yeah, so I gotta wait a whole year to make my Titan look cool.
Can I break the rules and ask the host a question as a guest? Do we think it's a bad thing that there are these moments throughout the year of content where you can and should take a step back? Do we really want so much Destiny that we can never turn away from it for a month or a few weeks even?
No, and I've been really clear on that in the past, that I think it's healthy for the game. Destiny is, yes, it wants to be an MMO, but it also wants to be an FPS. It wants to be a place where you come and have fun with your friends. But Bungie themselves has even said, we do not want to be the only game that you play. Like, if you want to, fine. Like, there are playlists for you, but the way I always interpreted it was, don't come crying to us when you get bored. When you get to season level 500 in a 3-month season and you're bitching about there being stale content, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, with the amount that I play, I still feel better about myself when I land on the tower in the first 2 months of the season. And see someone who's already like 250 in the past when I haven't even gotten to 100 yet. You know, I play this game an unhealthy amount.
No, and like that's the thing. Like you and I both play a pretty, I would say, above average amount of Destiny. But I have not enjoyed PvP in several seasons. It's been waning on me. The last season's Iron Banner like kind of killed my desire to play Iron Banner for a long time because, man, playing Rift for that fucking titles, man, I'm telling you, titles and seals, man. But I also kind of see the genius of the seals and titles because it keeps people like me who are hooked. It gives me something to chase, and I appreciate things like that. Like I've been talking in the Discord with Ronnie and a few others about going and chasing the Gumshoe title. You know, we were all talking about what we've got left, and like I've needed to do 4 Legend of Wellsprings since like March, and I haven't gotten around to it, and I kind of need to do it, otherwise I can't buy my seal. I'm gonna literally run out of time in less than a month. So hey, if you want to do it, join the Discord. Let's man up and do it. 4 nights in a row. I need people to commit for 4 straight nights to get this done.
I would love to get any of the raid titles, honestly.
I would like to too, and then I look at the time investment and I'm like, my time can be spent. That's the thing is like, I do not feel that the reward is worth the grind at that point. And I'm starting to get that way with this all makes sense. The time I'm starting to get these seasonal seals and these seasonal events. Like the game is more fun when I just play what I want to play and I'm not worried about chasing a god roll. I mean, well, I'll always chase god rolls, but I'm not worried about like titles or triumphs or anything like that. Like when I'm just playing this game to play it, to have fun with my buds, to enjoy a kick-ass sci-fi story, that's when Destiny's at its best. And I want people who want to sit here and complain about player counts to, you know, maybe take a step back and realize, hey, I understand that for a lot of the people complaining, the most vocal people in the room who are complaining, this is their livelihood. This is their life, man. I get that. I get that. I follow a pretty fair amount of content creators on Twitter through Destiny. And for now. Yeah, TBD if they file for bankruptcy by the end of this month. Stay tuned for that one. Makes it really hard to grow a podcast, by the way. I think that you sit down and you look at this and you go, okay, so I don't know, of the hundreds of thousands of people who play this game a month. It's also worth noting, like, y'all are looking at Steam charts, like, it's still consistently on, like, the top 10, top 15 most played Xbox and PlayStation games. Like, pretty much always is. So, anyways, I digress. Um, you look at this and it's like, well, I understand that you make your living playing this game, and this, like, even people like Dado have said, Dado and Glad have both, they have careers outside of Destiny, and they've said, hey, Dado plays this game all the time still, right? Glad
Yeah.
dips in and out. He plays the story stuff, he does the raids, the dungeons, etc. He didn't do the grind that much anymore, and they have
And I,
both said we still get nothing. Like, we do really good,
yeah.
but Destiny content when we do it is on a whole other level. And I get it. Like, this community is so passionate. And I've seen the other conversation I've seen a lot is I wish Bungie wasn't working on other games so they could just work on Destiny and take all those developers and put them on this. Guys, I hate to tell you this. That's not how game studios are working in the year 2022. They have multiple projects going on. If you do have a studio that works on one game, it's usually one division of their studio. So, like, yeah, you'll have like Team Destiny as part of Bungie. You're gonna have Team Marathon. You're gonna have Team, I don't know, like Incubation, or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it.
And you can't bet on one golden goose forever either. Not
Unless you are Activision with Call of Duty.
which somehow still.
Somehow. I mean, look at how infrequently Blizzard releases games too. I mean, you,
Yep.
you could put Blizzard in there up until like the last year or two. Um, and I think that's something that everybody's got to kind of keep in mind is that I saw somebody critique. It was a content creator online, and I'm not going to name names because they're not one of the bigger ones. So I'm not going to name
I mean,
names
we
on
can
them.
call out Nerd Generalist if we need to.
Well, I mean,
That's
we're going to call them out anyways. You know, PC master race motherfucker. I'm kidding. I love you, nerd. Please don't leave me. But when you look at what some of these guys are saying, like one of them says, I don't understand how we got 20 maps between the launch of Destiny 2 and the end of Forsaken, and we've only gotten one map. Now, first off, that one map is absolutely fucking egregious. I want to be really clear on that. We've gotten
it's a
one
great
map and a
Rift
bunch
map.
of revivals.
It's
It's a great
great
Rift
for
map.
Rift.
It sucks dick on everything else. And, like, listen, I get the complaints about that one, but if you and there are a lot of valid criticisms there to pass around. If you want to hear those, go listen to some of our stuff from last season when I played Iron Banner and I just complained about it nonstop. But if you're really going to compare when you had like 4 studios working on this game, including one that their sole job was to make maps.
And let's not forget Activision's big push for Destiny 2 was making it a competitive esport shooter.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. It, like, it is clear, like, there are things built into the foundation of this game, for better or worse, that they can't get away from. And I think, despite Bungie screaming and saying we're Destiny 2 is not going anywhere, I'd be fucking floored if post Final Shape we didn't get a new installment of Destiny. I mean, maybe sell it for like $30 or $40 if you do it, and then just sell your seasons and your expansions like always. Eventually, take the game free to play, whatever you got to do. But the new light experience is awful.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's so hard to get new players into this game, and I commend
I
you for being able to play. Go ahead, John. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. I mean, I think a lot about what could have been with Destiny 2's launch, because honestly, the Red War campaign was awesome, but
It's great.
everything around it
It's
was
great.
how cool would it have been if they didn't announce Destiny 2? If they just 1 week, one reset, you log in at the tower and boom, the Cabal attack. You're defending. If that, imagine if the Red War launched as a live event, how insane that would have been.
Well, and I mean, like, now obviously we know a lot more about game development. Like,
Yeah.
live events really weren't a thing then.
Nope.
And I think now, like, their interpretation of a live event being something similar to the Exorcism event is actually I think that's a really unique take on a live event, because really Fortnite is the only game that nails these live events, but it is only for that one time, and you have to be logged in before it begins, and look how many disconnects happen and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even they haven't nailed this all the way, but Fortnite's live events are still, they're pretty damn good. They're pretty damn good, and I
they
think
do
there's
some
a
crazy
lot to learn
stuff
there.
over there. But
Well,
they also have a lot of money and a lot less content, if that makes sense.
right, they're not constantly pumping out story content. their only objective is to work on PvP. They don't have a whole PvE side
Yep.
of the game. They don't have
They
PvEVP. And
they have a whole factory of artists working on skins and emotes,
yes.
and that's not to talk shit.
No.
I'm on the train. I love Fortnite
Yeah,
now, but
we have
yeah,
spent
that's
an unhealthy amount in Fortnite this year.
I talked shit about it relentlessly for like 5 years, and now I think I've spent as much on Fortnite this year as I have on Destiny.
John was thought I've spent more on Fortnite. I'll be completely honest. And now, if we count the Bungie store, I've probably still spent more in. Oh, I've definitely spent more on Destiny. But even up until like 2 months ago, John, you were like, oh, Fortnite, I still don't get it, man. I still don't get it. And then just one day it clicked out of nowhere for you. And I think that's how Destiny is for some people. Like, you need some time away, and then you come back a few weeks later and you're kind of refreshed. Like, I took a few weeks. Oh God, when was it? It wasn't the end of, I guess it might have been the end of last season. Like, I usually take the last 3 or 4 weeks of a season off.
Yeah.
I still log in about once a week, check Eververse. Maybe, if there's people wanting to like go run a raid or a dungeon or something, I'll go run it. That's
Or if A1 Johnny drunkenly sends you a Crucible invite at 11 p.m. on a Friday.
11 p.m. for you, 1 a.m. for me. Yeah, I mean, they're still fun to be had, and I understand those who are complaining about the lack of content. This isn't a game that you're meant to play relentlessly. It's meant to be a game that you can play and you can set down. Now, Bungie, yeah, they want us to set it down, but they have to make consistent money also. I think the pressure for that is going to be lessened a little bit now that they're underneath the Sony umbrella. And I've seen a lot go like, they were just given $4 billion and they haven't done anything. First of all, that's not how this works. They were not given $4 billion. They got to pay out to stockholders. They got to pay out to their employees.
Yeah, what was it? 1.2 or 1.6 of that was for employee retention.
1.2.
Yep.
Yep,
but money doesn't turn immediately into content. Money turns into green flagging things that we're going to see over the next couple of years.
It turns into green flagging things. It turns into the office that they were opening up in Amsterdam, which I assume is still happening. Haven't heard anything on that front in a little while.
Turns into hiring a few hundred people that just got fired from Twitter.
Oh my lord! Yeah. So there's a lot of reasons. I guess like I kind of want to wrap this because we've been talking about this for half an hour. I want to wrap all this just by saying like I'm not here to bitch and moan. Like, I totally understand why people in the community are feeling the way they're feeling, why they're stepping away. But I guess my message would continue to be the same thing. And I mean, like, nobody really wants to hear it, but hey, take a break, man. Like, there's nothing wrong with taking a break. It's pixels on a screen. It's not that serious.
Yep.
It is totally fine. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty the last couple weeks. And you know what? I probably won't touch Call of Duty now until Christmas time because I've got our topic later on. We're going to talk a little bit about, John and I are going to talk a little bit about what we've been playing. Normally, Corey and I would address something like that up at the top. There's just not a whole lot going on in Destiny. We're at the end of a season. We're approaching the holidays. There's not a lot. But like Corey and I have been saying, like, yeah, November and December are going to be a little bit bare in some of these episodes and some of these TWABs and whatnot. We come back from the holidays though at the beginning of January, and man, you're 6-7 weeks out from a major expansion. Like, the information should be flowing actually by the time this next season starts. You got the Game Awards that week.
Everyone who's crying foul right now, we're gonna get some juicy twabs. You're gonna get
everybody
that
who's
trailer.
crying foul. All
you sluts are gonna be back at the trough.
Everyone who's complaining, you know what? Go have a Snickers. You're not you when you're hungry. We'll see you in 3.5 weeks for the new season. Okay, that's really like the last thing I have to say.
Yep, that's Destiny, isn't it?
That's Destiny. Speaking of things that are Destiny, though, John, because that was kind of a perfect segue. So sorry, I'm gonna cut you off. What about we're not really gonna talk about the TWAB because there's nothing in there, but Telesto, man. This has been
besto.
This has been a great couple of days. It's just been goofy fun. There was an emblem that was data mined last season, a Telesto emblem in the API.
I thought I had seen that.
For like 6 months, we've been wondering what's going on with this emblem. And then this week they did a takeover on social media and in-game of Telesto. And it's been great. It's similar to the Savathun fourth wall breaking that we had last year. It kind of gives new insight to Griffin, who is the social media manager at Bungie, complaining on Monday night, like, "God damn it, I can't change the profile picture or our name for
Can,
for the Destiny account. This is absurd."
can you imagine if the change happened inversely, and Destiny 2's official account was Telesto for like the next 6 months, and they
Oh
couldn't
my
change
god,
it
they did
back?
get the picture changed. It is a Telesto picture now. I will note that. Um, People noticed it at reset on Tuesday when they logged in. Somebody had Telesto, and they shot it off into the sky, and the bullets drifted towards the sky, but they were going in different formations. Paul Tassi and a few others determined that they looked eerily similar to constellations, real constellations, leading a lot to speculate, like, "Oh my god, the Dreaming
We got a
City
star
curse!"
map. We
Like,
got a
"Oh
star
god,
map, baby.
here we go again. Here we fool me 4 times. Shame on you, Bungie." But we just talked about uh, people coming back to the trial. Oh man, I talked so much shit about Destiny the last few weeks. You better believe I ate this shit up on Tuesday and Wednesday. John and I are sitting here
I,
sending this back and forth.
yep.
I'm bugging
I
Corey while he's under lockdown for a tropical storm, and I'm like, "Dude, I know you're spending time with your family, and there's like a natural imminent disaster happening, but have you seen the Telesto stuff?"
Josh, I was literally work has been so insane for me in my personal
Mm-hmm.
life, and I've ran outside for a 2 minute break, and I was literally that meme of Matthew McConaughey, eyes wide, hitting a cigarette, looking at his phone when I
Yeah.
saw all this Telesto stuff popping up.
Oh man, it was great. It was great. Um, so that happens the first day, and people kind of noticed a new reload on it. Second day, the gun's behaving a bit more normally, but then volatile rounds are kind of popping off there at the end after
Yeah,
the
it's
bullets
like
explode.
they're like seeker orbs from those from the scatter grenades.
Kind of like the
It's
scat, yeah,
weird.
similar to the scatter grenades, are like really, really tiny Deathbringer orbs. Um, so that was really cool to see. And right about that time is when the social accounts started being taken over. Damage and Cosmo both had to swear to God there was nothing happening. Of course, Bungie players, Bungie fans, Destiny players are not to are not to be fooled, and we were convinced there was some sort of special hidden purpose. And that leads me to our first piece of listener mail tonight.
Oh,
Yes,
did we get a
from
letter from Telesto?
from Ronnie. I mean, we all had some wild theories going in the Discord. Mine was, what if since Telesto is sentient, what if we use it to power up the Ol Insurrection Prime down there in the Elixni Quarter? Our favorite servitor from Season of the Splicer and from well, a raid that no longer exists, sadly. Uh, so Ronnie writes in and he goes, "Not a question, but a theory on the Telesto stuff." And to be clear, he wrote this in this morning, Thursday. What is today? Thursday the 12th, the 10th, Thursday the
The
10th.
10th.
Before any of the stuff that there's no quest came out. But this shows you kind of like how down the rabbit hole we were going here. I believe Rasputin has found a way to take over Telesto, some way searching for an exo shell, and the search has driven him to do so no matter what. Which will lead into our boss for the next dungeon and storyline into the next season. Is it tied to the community event? Maybe, but I've always thought us searching for other Siva, now revamped into Pyramid Energy, would be the final darkness power. And then further to my point of being controlled or taken over, look no further than today's Schwab. And in the helps known issue section, there is one called Telesto, and it just says help. Um, so I want to address this real quick, because I've seen this line of thought from a few people, not just from Ronnie. This is not me going like, "Oh, the lore says it's not going to happen," but very specifically, Siva, because I had the same thought at first also, a couple years ago in regards to a power. And then I very quickly remembered Siva was a technology that was developed by humans during the Golden Age.
Yeah.
Siva is not going to be, unless there is just and I mean, it would have to be an absolute radical retcon to bring Siva in. I think that Strand is going to serve the purpose that Siva would have. Strand seems to be a cross because they've been very clear. Like, Strand is not a darkness power; it is a technology. So, I mean, like, I guess you could do it. I just think that anything you would do with Siva wouldn't be as cool as Outbreak Perfected. Just to be brutally, bluntly honest.
Yeah.
And I think that anything dealing with Siva would be foreshadowed next year with the return of Wrath of the Machine in season
Well,
3 of Lightfall.
isn't that the running theory on Neo Luna? Is that they were
Yes,
they built everything off of Siva
the
during the
running
collapse?
conspiracy theory is that this is the Exodus ship that actually managed, because there were 3 Exodus ships that launched, and we know
Yep.
2 of them, or excuse me,
One of them still talks to us.
one of them still talks to us. That's Failsafe ship. The other one of the other ones was the one that Mara and Uldren were on.
Yep.
That was the Awoken. And then I believe this is where my understanding of the Exodus ships gets a little iffy. We never really knew the fate of the last one. I believe this would be the final Exodus ship. If it was, they had Siva, because it has been said that the Exodus ships had those to help them rapidly build new colonies to recolonize.
Which would make sense how anyone could make a civilization in the clouds of a,
Gas giant.
of a gas giant planet, which is
And
not
make
very
it
hospitable.
look like fucking Blade Runner 2049 over here.
And everyone has sexy armor with their biceps out. I'm not jealous. Give Titan some guns out, please.
So I think that's probably the kind of line that we're going down. And I'm not trying to poo-poo anybody's suggestion. It's been very well documented how much I did not like Rise of Iron, how much I do not care for that storyline, how I think Siva was just a quick way to not have to make actual enemies for an expansion they never intended to make anyways. And I think that's a lot of the reason why they've never really gone back to it is we didn't want to do this in the first place. We kind of had to per our contract.
And it's kind of hard to ride around when you have
Yes.
a nanotech version of alchemy, basically.
Yeah. That's like a classic sci-fi trope, right? Sci-fi trope, sci-fi trap, really. So I will say that I would not read that far into this. I do not think I would love to be proven wrong. I had fun with my conspiracy theory. I firmly do not believe that I'm going to plug Telesto up a servitor's butthole. But
but I wish I could.
I joke that I would love for the community event to be just get 10 million kills as a community with Telesto would be hilarious. I do not think that there's any nefarious purpose here. I don't think this is a harbinger. But see, Bungie does these things because they know we're going to go down these insane rabbit holes, right? That's why they do these things. And then they have to put out these statements so that we don't spend weeks of our time searching for something that's not there.
Which is nice of them.
It's very nice of them. I think they saw after Corridors of Time, okay, we gotta kind of restrain ourselves just a little bit here. You get a really cool emblem out of it. I do genuinely enjoy this emblem. It is a lot of fun. There is a message in game, and I believe that message has been fixed, but it is also out on their it's on their Twitter account for the Telesto emblem.
I can't believe it's so perfect. It's so perfect. The
so
emblem
perfect.
code was glitched for Telesto.
It's so perfect that this is coming out as Twitter is imploding. It's incredible.
What do you think to the theory that this is a test of some sort for live changes like this?
Now that I absolutely buy. I absolutely subscribe to that theory, and I think they figured fuck it, Telesto's always broken anyways.
It's funny as hell.
The theory that I still find the most plausible, even though it's pretty clear they're not going to do it at this point, is that they were letting us have some final fun with the gun before giving us a quest to sunset the only exotic they've ever had to get rid of. I think they've realized oh god, Quicksilver Storm, it's the ultimate stay away from me and my son. Telesto needed its time back in the sun. I took a little bit of offense to Liana today saying we've had a Telesto shirt up on the shop and nobody for weeks and nobody's even noticed. Listen, Corey and I talked about it because I saw it, was oh god, I'm gonna have to buy this.
We saw it. We're those nerds.
We saw it. I whipped out my credit card.
And hey, here's to the running pattern of random bullshit in the Eververse predicting events. We did get the Telesto
This
ship
shit was
sparrow and ghost.
planned.
Yep.
Y'all are so silly if you think this wasn't planned. But I love this because they know they're gonna whip us up into a frenzy. It happened. I like to think this was the ultimate like break glass in case of emergency. Oh shit! The content creators break the glass, break the glass. Do something fun with Telesto. And
We gotta
honestly,
spin this.
it was so perfect. They tweet out the emblem, and immediately Aztecross replies with a gif and goes, "Is that's it?" It's like, motherfucker, yes, that's it. Not everything needs a quest line.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. Exactly. I thought Shah Han would know better.
I do get it though. Everyone's been have been itching for that
We've been a
corridors
little
of
uptight as a
time,
community.
Yeah. It's
To put it mildly, we've been a little
bit.
uptight. And then I mean, dude, there was even a marketing email. See Telesto's moments and more. Embrace the chaos, and it tells you when you got Telesto, how many ornaments you have, days that it was accident free, and the planet you used it the most on. And then here's some other fun stats. Guardians defeated by Telesto 2,254,960 times dismantled 446,120, and it has been sold by Zer 16 times. They give you the emblem inside the email. You see some of the what you call it, tweets that were out. The one making fun of Pete Parsons was pretty great. The Vanguard,
I laughed
Savathun,
at
the
that.
Witness, the 9 Pete Parsons. What are they before the Might of Telesto? The I Am Telesto shirt. Telesto's week at Bungie. Uh, it's great. It's great. And of course, they have to make sure to tell us that the bundle is an Eververse. But this is fun, goofy shit towards the end of the season when they know it's slow. I think that the live event was supposed to go up this week and it just was not ready for prime time. So hey, fuck it, Telesto stuff. But it's pretty clear like they planned this. Like that's a whole marketing campaign, and that stuff is fun. I'm okay with that. Not every like
Yeah.
when we started getting into like, oh look, it's making out constellations. I was like, oh my
It
god,
could have been.
the nerds are at it again. But no, I think this was just some good, silly, good-natured fun on Bungie's part when they know that tensions are pretty high in the community between the Divinity episode with Salt and PvP.
Yeah, gestures
Yeah,
wildly at PvP. That
gestures
over there.
wildly at the current state of ruffians. Um, but yeah, so there's not a lot in the TWAB this week. It's there's a quick blurb about Telesto. Cauldron won for Trials, so good luck with that if you're gonna go play Trials this weekend. I voted for Anomaly, just so all of you know. I was
You
gonna
monster.
torture every single one of you who decided to play Trials this weekend. Um, it's fine. There's really nothing here. They kind of openly acknowledge that, like, yeah, it's kind of slow right now. Kind of hoping that they give us the PvP changes announcement next week, just to give everybody something to stew on over Thanksgiving. Make sure that we keep some of these families fed over Thanksgiving by making a bunch of outrage clickbait videos. But John and I have we have something we want to move on to that's not Destiny before we get into your questions and we do a special lore corner tonight. This was a really big week for us. Okay, you got Wakanda Forever coming out. Andor wrapped its first season. And John and I sank our teeth into two absolutely massive and wildly different video games. I would be joining him in playing God of War Ragnarok right now, but I am currently playing things I can play from my bed on my backbone. So I'm playing Persona 5 from the bed right now. Which, let me tell you something, playing a 100-hour plus RPG is not the way to play that game. I've been occasionally like sneaking out to the couch or turning on the TV in the bedroom to play it. It's installed on like 3 different devices at my house right now.
My
So
man's really started 100+ hour JRPG the week God of War Ragnarok launches. My
Yeah, I didn't
man,
really think
baby
this
girl, what
through.
is you thinking?
I didn't think this through. In my defense, I literally was like, I've tried starting Persona 5 like 2 or 3 separate times before, and I've never ever made it like even like halfway through the first dungeon. I'm like, nope, I'm done. There's too much dialogue. I'm good. I'm done. And man, let me tell you, this game sunk its hooks into me. I'm about 50 hours into this game right now, and I don't know that I've ever quite played a game like this. Um, it is. If you like character-driven stories, let me tell you something. This is one of the most character-driven stories I've ever played. Everyone that you meet and talk to kind of has their own plot line and will give you various perks in battle, even if they cannot actually join your party. Um, and I really enjoy that. Like as you level each person up, like it'll make your fusions stronger, but there's base perks that you get also that can even help you outside of battle. And I really enjoy systems like that. I think it's a lot of fun, and this is in stark contrast to the last JRPG I played, which was Final Fantasy VII Remake, where you have like 4 party members. Yeah, 4 party members. That's it. Uh, and well, the dog joins you like at the very end because it's only the first third maybe of Final Fantasy VII. Persona's a really special game though. I've had a few friends hype it up for a long time. It's a very special game. If you enjoy Japanese culture, if you enjoy anime, um, you enjoy like mysticism, this is probably the game for you. Like if you've ever been sucked into something like Dungeons and Dragons, this probably will grab you. It is one of the most special games I think I've played in a very long time. I'm years late to the party. I'm playing it because it's on Game Pass. It is the complete edition. It's Persona 5 Royale, and it's been a treat watching some of these characters evolve over the course of the story. A guy that I met in the opening 10 minutes of the game, I was like, man, this guy's a massive dick. I hate this guy. Has become like one of my favorite dads ever in a video game. The journey that Sakura goes on with the protagonist is it's very special and very near and dear to my heart. I don't know another game where you can romance not only your classmates but also a doctor who dresses like she's going to a metal concert and your teacher. So
Yo, they got goth doctor mommies up in here.
they've got goth doctor mommies. I'll send you a picture later. Um, it's a really special game though. When we get into the next in between for Destiny seasons, if you like any of the above things, you like anime, you like Japanese culture, you like JRPGs, you like goth doctor mommies, or you like seducing your teacher, this is the game for you.
Well, I
Um,
like at least two of those things, but
it,
I
it's
have been curious. I've been Persona 5 curious, just by the way that people talk about it, and the price is right now.
the price is right because the price is free.
Yep.
Um, I will say, like John, even you, I think
Yeah.
I think you would enjoy this greatly. Just
You know, I'm not big into anime. I've never
man,
really found a
I don't.
JRPG
I
that
would.
grabbed
I would
me.
even go so far as to say you don't need to be into anime as much as like you need to be okay with just like a shitload of dialogue.
Yeah.
There is a lot of talking in this game. You have to.
Sir, I have listened to every line that every line of the codex in Mass Effect. I have sat there and played through every entry. Sir.
Well, irregardless, there's a lot of talking. If you like visual novels, like Telltale style games, this is great. I mean, your choice as
The
well.
art style looks awesome
I mean, the
too,
art
by the
style is
way.
it's, I mean, it's very anime. The cutscenes are literally an anime, which is really cool. I enjoy that.
Even like the menus and everything,
Yeah.
just the
Oh,
whole
the
design.
stylization,
Yeah.
the UI is a little funky. I'm 50 hours into this game, and I'm still have very very difficult times trying to find where some of my skills are stashed away at.
How much do you think of that is because you're playing on your phone while you're very sick?
Um, none, because I had the same problem when I went to a controller.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. And to be fair, the backbone controller I have does have the exact same layout as an Xbox controller, in terms of where the buttons are.
Hmm.
It's very frustrating. Your menu is pulled up by Y and not by start.
Ooh.
Well, because start is used as a fast forward through dialogue button. Back is used for pulling up, like, oh, call a meeting or things like that. I enjoy how wacky the game is. I mean, for God's sake, you have a talking cat as your companion. It's pretty fucking great. Um, it's goofy. I didn't expect it to be as funny as it was. Like, genuinely, some of the funniest shit I've seen in a video game in a very long time is in this game, in a few different forms. The least of which, not the least of which, I guess I should say, is some of the finisher moves that certain pairs of characters will utilize throughout the game. Showstopper moves, which do a ton of damage and are just this wacky cutscene that play out, that are like based off of movies. Essentially, they all have like, one of them is called Drive Hard, and Gluttonous Bastards. Um, oh God, there's a few other ones.
Hey, John got that reference. Everyone drink.
Everyone drank indeed. There's one where the pretty girl and the cat are flying down, shooting like fucking Uzis and dropping bombs at an enemy. It's great, man. Like, it's a perfect blend of very dramatic, very heartfelt storytelling, and just gut busting laughter at times. Um, your game gets richer the more it's one of those games, like, you start out like doing the side stuff because you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll do this because like it was suggested to me, or like because I feel like I'm being forced to. And then you start falling in love with these characters, and that's the tricky slope. The game is constructed in a way where you cannot do everything on your very first playthrough unless you follow a meticulous guide that tells you exactly what to do at every single step of the game. And that's no fun. Everyone's experience with Persona is going to be different. Royale is special because the original game ends at a predetermined time. Royale takes place. That's the expansion. Takes place after the conclusion of the original game. So it adds another entire semester of the school year on. Which leads to other hijinks. But you have to achieve the original true ending and have certain relationships with certain characters just to get the option to play that content, which I think is really cool. Like, it's kind of a reward for, hey, how much did you value your relationships with everybody else in this game? Oh, you did? Cool. We're going to reward you with this then. We're going to let you stay in this world a little bit longer. I mean, it's really special. I don't know that I'll do New Game Plus on this just because it's been so fucking long. And I certainly cannot see myself ever playing this again. But hey, Persona 3 and 4 are coming to Game Pass, and
Yeah, the whole
God,
family's
I'm
coming.
everybody's here. Um, I will 100% be playing at least Persona 4. I don't know if I'm going to go all the way back to 3, but I will at least play. I've heard great things about, like you did about Persona 5. I've heard great things about 4 for years. That game really didn't find life in the West until it came to the Vita, with Golden. So I will say this, like, just to kind of like close out my thoughts. Um, Persona 6 is not only a like day one must play game for me, it is now one of those games I will literally drop everything else I'm playing in order to play this game when it comes out. It is, and I know that the cast changes every main game. I'm not ready to say goodbye to these characters. I really hope that they somehow, because this is by far the most popular game in the series. And Persona
Is it
itself,
like an American Horror Story situation where it's a
nope,
whole different setting,
nope,
or okay,
nope.
just
Brand
different
new
people?
characters, brand new story every time. There are some connections between the games, but they're very minuscule. Like, the characters themselves really don't show up again. The protagonists don't.
Yeah.
Persona 5 is a kind of a special case, though, because Persona itself is a spinoff of Shin Megami Tensei, which has never really been super popular in the West, honestly. And Persona itself really wasn't. Persona 5 was a special beast, though. It got overshadowed by, because it came out the same time as Breath of the Wild and Horizon. It got kind of overshadowed by both of those, but has just kind of like increased its reputation in the subsequent years, and like Royale is kind of what caused it to like boil over and like, oh my god, like you have to play this game. Like this is the definitive version of one of the best JRPG games of all time. I would agree with that statement now. I don't know how far away I am from the end. I would estimate I'm maybe halfway through it, like 45 hours. And I feel like I'm flying through parts of this game too.
45 hours in, so you're almost into Act 1 there.
I mean, it's definitely not the end of Act 1. Like I'm definitely in the final act of the original game. But I know that I still have all the content to come afterwards.
Yeah.
Because I have met most of the requirements at this point to unlock that. I've hit 2 of the 3. So I guess I would just say all that. Like if you're looking for a nice long meaty game to sink your teeth into, that's one option. The other option is God of War Ragnarok.
Speaking of dads,
Speaking of
you
video
mentioned a
game
dad like
daddies,
20 minutes ago, but speaking of dads,
can Kratos make coffee and curry? I didn't think so.
I'm sure no, he would just get
No,
mad
he
about
can't.
it.
He can't.
He would get mad at the
Make this
suggestions.
coffee. John, why don't you, in your most non-spoiler way possible? Yeah, we don't need anybody to do earmuffs or mute us or anything. Give me a few minutes. Tell me about your experience with Ragnarok so far. I know you've only had like a day or two with it. It came out very late Tuesday night, so we haven't had much time with it at all. It was released on a Wednesday for whatever godforsaken reason. Um,
Hey, I was there Tuesday, 9 o'clock on the dot
how
p.m.
how has this game been for you so far? You would estimate you're what, about 10 hours in, probably
I am at 8.5 right
eight and
now.
a half. Okay, I
Yep.
was trying to give a little bit of leeway based on the clip I saw you post last night.
Yeah, and I would say that probably about 2 hours of that is me being dumb at puzzles, and
That's fair.
also I'm playing through on hard, so taking me a little longer to get through some combat
Okay,
sections
okay,
than it would be
so
the
we can reasonably expect then that John's probably about 5-6 hours into the main narrative.
yeah
Okay.
yeah. And I finally got to the first part of the game. Similarly, in 2018,
Yeah.
when you finally get the world map and everything kind of opens up, I finally got to that point. So
Okay.
I've done a fair amount of fucking around and exploring.
Are you
And
finding out yet?
oh, I am finding out.
Mm.
Shit's rough out here in the Ragnarok verse. No, it's really hard to talk about because I don't know what to say that you haven't seen in reviews, because you can't spoil anything.
I have not read a single review for this game, and I do
Oh,
not intend to. I intend on going in as blind as possible. I have watched whatever trailers Sony put out up until God. I honestly, the only trailer I may have seen for this game was the reveal trailer last fall. That may be
oh,
the only
that's
trailer I've actually watched.
well. Nuclear hot take here. Video game good.
No, I mean, we don't need to be like, oh my god, like Josh is trying to stay so pure. No,
Yeah, no. I'm
I've
joking,
seen
but
plenty of like little clips. I've seen some
yeah.
ads. I just like kind of passively don't watch them. I don't really pursue a lot of trailers these days.
I'm similar when it's something like this
Yeah.
that I was sold. I was sold on this game the second credits rolled on 2018.
Well, and that's exactly
You
how I
know,
feel too. Like I never
yeah,
cared about God of War before 2018. Like the games were fine. They were fine.
yeah. They were. I've always been more of an Xbox boy, but God
Yep.
of War
Yep.
before 2018 was always just a. It looks like a dumb button masher. I couldn't give a
I
shit
never
less about it.
I enjoyed the story. I didn't enjoy the games themselves.
Yeah,
And Kratos was utterly unlikable in the original games,
yeah,
which also did not help. He was a meathead. I basically
yeah.
imagine him as
He
Vin
was
Diesel.
Sony's Marcus Phoenix,
He was
right? Like
Marcus Phoenix had more heart than the original Kratos. Don't put any slander on my man's name, okay? Kratos didn't care about any way the way Marcus cared about Dom and the Coltrane, okay? I found myself with 2018's game falling in love with Kratos though as a character because I think I credit a lot of this to Cory Barlog's direction.
yeah,
If it had
100%.
not been him coming, he was the cinematics director at Crystal Dynamics. We all know Corey made his name working at Santa Monica on the original trilogy of God of War games, and then he left. Him and David Jaffe both left. He went to go work at Crystal Dynamics, was the cinematics director for Tomb Raider, which basically means he oversees the story and a lot of the narrative
Mm.
development and whatnot. It is the role that one Joseph Staten had on the original Halo series up until I believe Halo 3. I don't think he did ODST or Reach. And then he, oh no, he did. He did do those actually. I take that back. He did it for the original, for the first 5 Halo games, and he did it for Destiny 1. He was set to be the head of story for Destiny 1 before Activision fired him. So it's a very important job, obviously, but these games, I don't think they have their heart without Corey. Similar to how I don't think that um, The Last of Us has its heart without Neil Druckmann
Yeah,
being
and
core
the
part of that.
amazing voice cast.
Well, the amazing,
You know,
I mean, and that's the other thing that I want to get
yeah,
to is Christopher Judge and oh God, what's his name? I'm completely blanking on Atreus's voice
Atreus'
actor.
actor.
Sonny Stevens, is that who it is? Um,
I'm terrible at remembering
I'm
actors'
gonna do a
names,
quick
so
Google while we're talking about this.
yeah,
But
yeah. It's
the
Ragnarok.
yeah.
Ragnarok. I tweeted something similar to this last night because, like I said, it's hard to say what's so cool about it
Sonny
without
Soljic.
spoiling
Sonny
anything.
Soljic. That's who it
There
is.
you go. There you go.
Sorry, not
Yeah,
Sonny Stevens. That's
their
sorry about that.
dynamic is incredible, and it continues to be incredible. But Christopher Judge's ability to emote so much through a video game character with a grunt. It's so it's so hard to explain. But if you've played 2018, you know what I'm talking about. And um, Ragnarok, it continues the excellence as a video game. The graphics
Mhm.
are just beautiful. The combat is awesome as it ever was. There's fun new twists on your powers. Again, I'm only in the beginnings of the first act of the game, so who knows what surprises I have
Right.
looking forward to me there. Was surprised that there's this may turn some people off, but if you know how I play Destiny, I am very excited. There's actually some build crafting going on in God of War Ragnarok with armor sets and different ways that you can upgrade your skills, and they went a little deeper in that, and that's fun. But my God, what sets this game apart is just the writing, the voice acting, the story. There's the characters in this goddamn video game. I wish I had more friends who played Sony games like this. Almost all of my friends are exclusively Xbox. So not many
Mhm.
of my personal real life friends are playing God of War. Every 5 minutes, my poor girlfriend is sitting here watching me play through this. We just played through the 2018
Yeah.
last month to get ready for this. Every 5 minutes, I am pressing pause, looking at her with a big, dumb, shit-eating grin on my face. From little quips between characters mid combat to huge reveals. Just every moment that a character is talking on the screen in this game, I am paying attention and so excited to see what they have to say. I cannot wait to see where this story goes. Matter of fact, I'm looking at my PlayStation right now. But yeah, no, it's great. I've been looking forward to this for 4.5 years. Um, I will be shocked if this game does not get Game of the Year. Frankly, um,
So that was kind of the next question I wanted to ask because as we all know, very well documented, I have not played Elden Ring yet, which I have a
shame.
man. I'm trying to figure out when I can cram that in. I have a feeling that might be what takes up my December at this point. Um,
And if you need a battle buddy, Josh, I am
I've
ready, willing,
I've
and
had
able
no
to
less
jump
than
back into the
I've
pain.
had no less than a dozen people tell me that they will jump in and play Elden Ring with me, which should speak to its enduring popularity.
Yeah,
Um,
Elden Ring is
I want to
is
know how it's. I want to
amazing.
know how it stacks up because some of the phrases that we had thrown around for Elden Ring were early contender for Game of the Generation, one of the singular greatest achievements of the medium ever, um, something that transcended popular culture. And I mean, to be fair, that game selling 15 million copies in less than 6 months is fucking wild. That's
Yeah.
fucking wild. I don't care any way you slice it. Like, that's Grand Theft Auto numbers, man. That's Call of Duty
Yeah.
numbers
For a Souls game,
for a
which
Souls
I
game.
normally detest.
Yes, and we for reference, we just got the updated numbers for God of War's lifetime sales last week, and it sits at a cool crisp 23 million, which is insane when you think about when that came out. There were an estimated about 115 million PlayStation 4 sold, so about one in every 4.5 consoles bought a brand new copy of this game. That's not counting used copies, obviously, or people who played it with a buddy. That is an insane attachment rate. That does not
Yeah.
happen. I want
I
to
bought a
know,
whole
how does
ass
this?
PS5 to play this game at launch.
It is true. You absolutely did do that. I want to know how this stacks up, because these are, at this point, like, it's these two and then everything else.
Yeah. After Marvel Snap, of course.
Listen, listen. There will be no Marvel Snap slander tonight on this
Oh,
show.
absolutely not. I'm saying Ragnarok and Elden Ring are fighting for second place under the
That's right.
superior
That's
game.
right.
No, they're amazing for completely different reasons, and it really, I could foresee, if we wanted to get all into predictions on at least Jeff Keighley's show, I could see maybe God of War winning everything but Game of the Year, then they give Game of the Year to Elden Ring. I don't know. They're amazing for completely different reasons, but they are both spectacular. Elden Ring is amazing in the same way that Skyrim or Oblivion or whatever your first Bethesda game
Yeah.
was, where it's just a world where you just get lost like a little kid in a sandbox for weeks and weeks and weeks, and every game session you find something, you think you've figured out how the game works, you think you've seen everything, and it still manages to rip those expectations out from under you and throw you into something completely different. There's something behind every corner, that level of exploration. And then God of War is more like a Mass Effect 2, just pitch perfect story and narrative and fun combat and characters you care about, a world you think about when you're not playing it.
Yeah.
You're running through the combat, not that the combat is bad, the combat's spectacular. I'm running through the combat to get to the next story beat. I'm whipping this dude's ass so I can get through that and see what my two favorite dwarves have to say, or insert a million, you know what I mean. It's this generation's Mass Effect 2 and Skyrim. That's the best way to put this title fight for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
They're both amazing for completely different reasons.
So I would ask this. Um does Ragnarok set a new standard for what we should expect from a console exclusive, similar to how I would say the last console exclusive that I think shifted the argument in this way was probably the Switch launching with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I would put that up there, that
Like, this is
2018.
pretty easily like the reason to go buy one of these new consoles right now is God of War.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely sets the bar. I mean, I've heard the term quadruple A and laughed at it. This is
Yes.
kind of the closest I think I can point to. Is this just everything works? The performance is perfect. The quality of life changes are fantastic. One little thing I'll shout out is either your boy or Mimir will shout out when you don't have a thing for a puzzle, so you don't sit there fucking with something for 20 minutes before you realize you don't have the doohickey
Yeah,
to
I
get through what you're
appreciate
trying to
things like
do.
that for sure. Yeah.
Just everything. It's like they thought of everything. I haven't, I if I can critique one thing about this game, the menu design. The menu design's a little cluttered, little weird. I play Destiny 2 as a second job basically, and even I'm like, okay, where the fuck, how do I get to this? What does this do?
Yeah.
It's a little complex, especially for a game like this. But if that's my biggest complaint, 8.5 hours in for a $70 video game, I think we're doing pretty good.
I would agree. One more. I said so. One more. Let me. I'm trying to figure out one more thing to end this conversation, because that was a really good note to end this on.
can I just appreciate as a Titan main? Am I allowed to talk about things that have been in the main cinematic, like the main
If
reveal
it's been
trailer? I
in
could.
trailers, I have no problem with you bringing it up.
Thor is amazing.
Thor's
Their
amazing.
rendition of Thor
Yeah.
is awesome.
So
Awesome.
is this on par with Balder?
Yes, much more so. This is
Because Jeremy
this
Davies fucking crushed that.
he did. He did. Um Thor is a big dude. It
Yeah.
is it is it is weird to see Kratos look small, next to someone. It is and I know everyone said, "Oh, this isn't your Barbie Chris Hemsworth Thor." I love Chris Hemsworth Thor. I can say good things
Who
about this
doesn't like
without
Chris
shit.
Hemsworth Thor?
I don't have to shit on Chris Hemsworth to say this is cool. It's just very different. This is definitely very much mythology Thor, and
Yeah.
Thor is a piece of shit, right? He's kind of a dick.
Not kind
That's
of.
the
He
whole point.
is.
Yeah, that's the whole point of Marvel's Thor, right? Is that he went through a growth period there where he lost his magic hammer and had to grow as a person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really fun in this world, especially where obviously Kratos' whole thing is that all gods suck, and Thor and Odin definitely keep up to it. But their design, their voice acting, the way that they're used in the beginning of this game, I have a feeling we won't really see much of them until later. But the way that they're introduced is just pitch perfect, and to the point that I played about 2 hours Tuesday night, and then I had to get up really early for work the next day, so I had to call it. When I got home the next night, I almost wanted to start the game over just to go through that again.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't, speak to how good
So
that
for the
is.
record, you are the second person to tell me that the opening 2 hours is just masterful.
Yeah.
Our friend Ray texted me and said in the middle of the night he stayed up to play it, and he says, Josh, this is the best movie I've ever seen. And I was like, what? He was like, the first 2 hours of God of War Ragnarok. So I'm looking forward to seeing if he still thinks that after seeing Wakanda Forever tonight.
Oh, I'm excited. That's me tomorrow. I want everyone here and you to know I skipped Wakanda to be here with you tonight.
I want everybody to know that I had tickets to go see Wakanda Forever tonight, and I can't because, well,
The
it's
plague.
COVID o'clock. Let's hit some questions. Let's hit some questions before we
Hit
do
me.
lore corner and get out of here. I did not realize how long we've been going.
Can I give one last final tip on God of War before we move on?
Final tip, and then we're out of here.
Okay. Don't get hit by Mjolnir. That hurts.
Noted. All right. So, first question tonight, reader mail, comes to us from Ronnie. Out of all the titles you've gotten, which one means the most to you? And it's a two-part question, so let's answer this one first. I think I have a feeling I know what John's is.
Iron Lord.
Oh, that's not the one I was going to guess. Okay.
No, I'm joking. It's Conqueror.
Yeah,
it's Conqueror.
That's the one I figured.
That maybe me and shout out to my main Dangerous Knights crew, Phil and Max. The amount of work that it took us to get Conqueror last year was insane, but it was the most fun I've had in Destiny in a long time. And it sounds weird, but I guess we're sadistic. But spending 3.5 weeks figuring out how to do one Grandmaster is 100% my shit.
Nope.
And we did it before all your fancy subclass 3.0s and exotic primary buffs, and
I don't fucking care.
Back in my day, no.
Mine is Undying. For similar sentiments, it was the first time titles were like super excited. It's either that or it's Wayfinder, because Wayfinder meant a lot to me too. I have something that like almost nobody else has. I killed myself to get that. Me and Phil killed ourselves to finish those titles up. But Undying, I will forever remember. You had to do a Master Nightfall, and that was like the equivalent of a Grandmaster at that point, just like beating our dicks. That was like the true before any buffs.
And we did it on Scarlet Keep.
We did it on the Scarlet Keep
week.
The last week, like the second to last night, like I had resigned myself to not being able to get Undying. And then John texted me kind of out of nowhere. I had just moved. We had just moved to Austin. John texted me and was like, hey man, we were going to try and take another stab at the Master Nightfall tonight, but Max can't make it. Can you come do it? You want to come sit in with us? And I was like, sure, whatever. And we didn't, or it was an afternoon, excuse me. Max was at work. We didn't get it banged out, but we almost did. We made it to the boss room like 3 different times. Then we sat down and nailed it first try the next night.
Yep.
I will forever remember.
I remember texting you walking home in the rain from
Mhm.
Dungeons and Dragons saying, it's go time. Hashladoon is Hashladun. Let's get this.
For reference on how bad this was, Phil was basically keeping me alive because I'm a very soft hunter. John got booped off the end, so we were running out of lives, and of course the respawn was in just a god awful location. We primaried her to death. We
Yep.
primaried Hashladoon to death. Phil and I did, just like praying that we could do it. We got you up somehow, and then we got booped right as we got the final shots off.
Yep, I'll never forget that. I threw a void grenade. I was on Sentinel Shield, and I was just hip firing an LMG as I flew off the edge. As she
that was when my strategy was to run edgewise in a Nightfall. By the way, fucking edgewise, man.
I was running Austringer and oh come on, what's the energy hand cannon? Our first exotic
Ariana's
season pass. Yeah, I was running Austringer and Ariana's Vow for unstoppable and anti-barrier and a fucking
dude.
light
It was so bad. It is like one of the worst things that's ever happened. It soured me on Champions forever. That's where the hatred was born at. Was in that moment. Ronnie has another question for us though, John.
Okay.
He's got another question for us here. Part 2 to this. If you could come up with a title name, what would it be and how would we get it?
Oh, God.
I could not think of a suitable answer for this week.
I've
been looking at this question for 3 days and I cannot think of one.
How wild would it be to have a static title? Something really crazy, like you get some sort of monk sounding title for having a completely empty vault. Goes away if you put something in your vault.
That would be wild.
Something like that, you know what I mean? Something really
Similarly,
crazy. Where you see someone.
I think there should be one if your vault is always full. I think you should have Porter.
Glutton or something, yeah.
Oh my god. Our friend Phil would have to be equipped with that all the time.
It would be gilded every season.
Every season. Gilded Glutton. I think something like that, like the kind of like along with the lines of what we were talking with Telesto, like live changes. I think that would be really cool, like in the future. And that's just like a little bit of text. I don't know how difficult that would be, but that's why I enjoyed that they did the what's the gunsmith one that you can get?
Deadeye?
Deadeye. I was wanting to say Hawkeye, and I was like, no.
Same thing. Same div.
That's why I like that one. I think that was like kind of substituted and it's like, hey, here's the one for like everybody to go earn. I don't really have an answer to this though. Like I think static titles is a good answer though. I like that.
It'd be a fun, interesting thing instead of all titles being you did these 10 triumphs.
I agree.
You know.
Tiger Jesus asks, do we think next season's artifact mods are going to be the greatest hits of the year, or are we going to have something broken like particle deconstruction? I want to say it's going to be greatest hits. They really want you to play with those 3.0 subclasses before Strand gets here.
I'm going to go a different direction. I figured I figured Stasis would get a big highlight next season since it has been a whole year of
so I kind of thought that, and then they just last week they said we're not going to take a major pass on Stasis until after Strand. So I think that like kind of killed that for me.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
We'll see. I would like for it to be a greatest hits of this year, though. There's not a whole lot this year that I like fell in love with, but if particle deconstruction came back, I would not complain.
Let me keep lightning strikes twice for another season. I ain't mad.
No, I wouldn't be mad about that either. Not really this from Joasis. Not really a question, but rank these in order from best to worst: Unstoppable, Overload, Anti-Barrier, Berserker, Hive Guardian.
Oh, fuck off, Joe. No, just kidding. I love you, Joe. Love you, Joe.
So, I mean, best has to be Anti-Barrier.
Yeah.
It's the least finicky of any of these.
Uh, I'm gonna go unstoppable
Oh,
because barriers can
fuck
be fucky.
off.
Barriers can be so fucky.
Unstoppable,
You
bro. That unstoppable. Listen, the unstoppable ogres in Kingsfall have made me set a bump unstoppable down a notch or two. The amount of times
well,
I have died looking down the barrel of my unstoppable shoddy, and they just don't fucking stop.
that's one weird bug in one weird location.
It's a
Normally,
weird bug in every location, John.
you stun them and do damage. They're the only ones that don't heal. You have to reload when a barrier puts his
They
barrier
don't
up.
like to
Whoop.
stun for me ever. Although I will say, unstoppable glaives were pretty great.
Yeah.
That
And
was
big
fun.
fan
You
every time we have
beat his
unstoppable
ass.
solar.
Just beat his ass.
Yep.
So okay,
Unstoppable solar melees are always fun
I'm
too. I love every
going
time that's up.
anti-barrier, unstoppable, hive guardian. What's a berserker here?
Yeah, I was hoping you would say so. I
I
didn't sound
kind of
stupid.
like don't know what berserker is. So, but there's
Oh
still
wait, was that what were the things in Scourge of the Past? Those weird fallen things you had to shoot in the front and the back.
that's a berserker. I'm gonna put
Is that a
berserkers here.
berserker?
Berserker is going at number 4 because the last one absolutely has to be overload. Fuck
Yeah,
overload champions.
overload is the worst
Unless you
all the
have
time.
divinity, which is the ultimate anti-overload gun. Everything else is useless. Overload trace rifles are the only thing that work. Zao Ambrosia writes in, if your guardian had a theme song for when they entered the room or the battlefield, what would it be? I want John's answer here first. Because
Oh
I've got two.
Oh God, you're putting me on the
I'm
spot
putting you on the
here.
spot because I've got two. I have thought frequently about what would my guardian's walk-up music be.
Oh, it's definitely powered up by Cobra Man.
Ooh, that okay. Cobra Man fucks. So Cobra Man's always a good choice. So I gotta go with I have two different ones because it depends on the activity. So if I'm assembling the raid team, we're flying in, we're all, we're meeting up in orbit and then we're flying in. It's When the Levee Breaks by Led Zeppelin. And it's just the intro. It's like the minute-long intro. My other one, this is for when I get summoned at ungodly hours of the night by some people, or I get
Hey,
shanghaied into joining a raid that I had no intention of doing. I like to think
hey
that my
there.
guardian has a playlist and that he turns it on and it somehow always goes to one of two songs. And it's either Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who or it's Black Betty. Because let me tell you something. I think my guardian gets down on having to fly in to save the raid at the last minute. I've also watched a lot of Top Gun Maverick, in case you have not picked up on that yet.
I should probably watch that at some point.
It's great. They have an entire sequence set to Won't Get Fooled Again. It's fantastic. Baba O'Reilly also works. Really, anything from Who's Next works. I love The Who. He also asks, John, I have to ask this question. Are you a Mountain Dew connoisseur?
I am not, unless I am getting T-Bell, then Baja Blast is the only answer.
Because we had a question, which is, if you drink Mountain Dew, what's your top 5 flavors? If you don't drink Mountain Dew, what's your top 5 sodas? So we'll do this two different ways. John, you can give us your top 5 sodas, and I'll do top 5 Mountain Dews.
Josh, I'm gonna have to be a conscientious objector here. I don't really drink soda.
God damn it! Well, John, we're not asking you your 5 favorite beers, so.
Yeah, I drink alcohol, coffee, and seltzer water. That's
To be fair, it's kind of the same over here. So not the same. I'm very much Ted Lasso when it comes to seltzer waters. Oh God, the bubbles! The bubbles! I forgot about the bubbles. God, top 5 Mountain Dew flavors. Okay, so in number 5, I mean you can't go wrong. You got to get the classic, the OG. No, not even the OG. I'm gonna go Livewire here. I'm gonna go Livewire.
Ooh,
No, Livewire at number
damn.
5. Go the original classic Mountain Dew at number 4. Number 3 is Code Red. I love me some
Shout out
Code
to
Red.
Code Red.
Shout out to fucking Code Red. Powered my high school gaming nights. Number 2, I'm going Baja Blast.
Baja Blast at number 2.
Baja Blast
I'm
is number 2.
waiting on bated breath.
John, we have a tie at number 1.
Oh.
So first off, we have to go with the original king of Mountain Dew, the 2007 Halo 3 edition Mountain Dew Game Fuel.
Pulling out.
Which is, to this day, the greatest soda I have ever had.
I forgot it had its own flavor, I'll be real.
It had its own flavor, and they had to start calling it Game Fuel Classic, because every time they did Game Fuel, they always did a new flavor, and everyone just wanted the Halo flavors again. I'm very upset that they no longer make it. If they do, I have never been able to find it. My tie for number 1, though, John, this is one that'll appeal to your interests and might get you drinking Mountain Dew again. Hard Mountain Dew, baby. Hard Mountain Dew.
I had completely forgot this existed.
So listen, we're not just going hard Mountain Dew. We're going hard Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
Son of a bitch.
Listen.
I'm furious.
I may have driven across the border to Oklahoma to go buy a case of this. Because they don't sell it in Texas yet. Okay, so I want to complain to Mountain Dew for a second. Pepsi Frito-Lay, I hope you guys are listening to this. Texas is like, I don't know, the state I would most stereotypically assume would have some sort of alcoholic Mountain Dew beverage. With how much we like high school football down here, how much underage drinking clearly happens in the state of Texas. And just how many lonely nerds there are. You would think there's a Taco Bell on almost every corner in this state. You think we would have hard Baja Blast by now. John, are you still there? Okay, I'm going to assume John is there because I still hear him going. Yeah, Frito-Lay, make it happen. Give me some Baja Blast, some hard Baja Blast. We have one more question, one final question. John, you ready? Okay, final question is forgive all the times that I just asked if John was ready, because I could hear like very brief noises in the background, but I could not vamp on Mountain Dew for 2 more minutes. We have a longtime listener, first time caller from I Am Corey in HD. Whoa. Corey Deering writes into the show and goes, Josh, what are your top 5 Earl of Sandwich sandwiches? A1 Johnny, what are your 5 favorite sandwiches from an inferior place?
This is rude because I've never had the opportunity to hit up an Earl sandwich.
Listen, I love the Earl. I really do. But man, they took my favorite sandwich off the menu. So the Earl is not as high on my list anymore. Even though I still love it, it's not as high up on my list anymore. Because let's be honest, they don't have some of my favorite sandwiches there. You can't get a good Cubano there. You can't get a banh mi there. You can't get the Hawaiian barbecue anymore. It's just, it's all going downhill from here.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. I'm very upset. So, I mean, like, listen, like, I've already listed those 3 as, like, 3 of my favorite sandwiches. I mean, you got to go with a classic Italian beef also. You got to have one of those in there. And then, I mean, like, what else am I going to do? I'm going to go with a classic. I'm going to go with a club. I like a good club sandwich, but not just any club sandwich. I like going to the sandwich shop that's not too far from me. It is a chain. I forgive me that it's not an actual deli. I live in fucking Texas. We don't have delis, unfortunately. But it's a king club, and it's the amount of meat and stuff that you would get on a club, but doubled. And it's fantastic.
Damn.
And I love that. I love having a ton of meat on my sandwich, which is why I don't like going to Subway. I would say, though, if I was going to go to Subway, I would order a Danger Witch.
A Danger Witch? I've never heard of this.
You ever do anything dangerous, John?
Oh, I do dangerous shit all the time.
Whew.
Not go to Subway, though.
Spicy. I will send you the video that I'm referencing, but Russell Wilson did a Subway commercial earlier this year for his signature sandwich, the Danger Witch, and it's like the most cringeworthy thing I've ever seen. and I need you to watch this because Chelsea's getting really annoyed that I keep quoting this commercial to her. Like, I'll like lean over when she's like half asleep and I'll go, "You ever done anything dangerous?" And she's just like, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you if you whisper that into my ear one more time." It's like, spicy. There's this one time. No, that's too dangerous. It's great. It's great. John, top five favorite types of sandwiches.
God, Corey,
I don't.
I hope
I need to know like types of sandwiches that you like. Like, do you like clubs? Do you like banh mi's? What do you like, man?
I've never had a banh mi.
God,
but I would.
Phil, I'm hearing Phil's disappointment from here. I'm feeling it.
I like a good pastrami.
Okay.
I like a good, I like a good tuna melt, I guess. But maybe it's because I'm on the West Coast. Most of the time, if I'm going out for food, I'm gonna go get a burrito. Is a burrito a sandwich? Is this a philosophical question we can open up?
No, it is not. Listen. I live in Texas. I'm taking authority on this. I'm going to take action on this. A burrito is not a sandwich. As someone who puts anything he can into a tortilla, it is not a sandwich. It's absolutely not a sandwich. Oh God. Okay, so it's not a technical sandwich, but listen, I do like waffle sandwiches. Okay.
Ooh.
I am a fairly large individual. You can tell I've had a few waffle sandwiches in my life, but I like the spicy chicken waffle sandwich that you can get at Disney World, which Corey said he was going to get one in honor of me, and I don't know if he's gotten it yet or not. And then there is a brunch joint by me that does they do two different types of sandwiches. They do one that is it's a Belgian waffle sandwich, so it's Belgian waffles on the top and on the bottom. It's got a fried egg inside. It's got cheese. It's got some thick cut ham, and then they do either bacon or sausage in it. Also, phenomenal. Dusted with powdered sugar.
It all sounds bomb.
Phenomenal. But I don't need anything the rest of the day or for like the next day because it's so much food. The other one is they do a French toast one. Ooh. And let me tell you, that, like, I saw God when I ate this sandwich. I'm not a religious individual, but it damn near made me go to church, John.
Yeah, no, I live in a tiny coastal town, so it's not like I had.
So John's favorite sandwiches or whatever he can pick up at the store.
Yep, there is one sandwich shop, one sub shop, and if it's any time during the summer, it's about a 45-minute wait because for whatever reason, the tourists that come through here to get to the sand dunes love that joint. But when I do go there, I get the same thing every time because I'm just that kind of guy.
What do you get? A good pastrami?
Sometimes I get a pastrami, but no, I get it's roast beef.
Yep.
It's barbecue sauce.
Yep.
Jalapenos.
Okay.
And melted cheddar.
Spicy.
I'm a big fan of spice.
Spicy. I like it. Well, John, it's getting to be that time. We have one final thing to do because it is quite late. My time. We've been going for almost 2 hours. We have a lore corner tonight. And what would lore corner be if we did not talk about Telesto tonight? We've never actually read the lore for Telesto on the show. And I have to find it. I have this new fancy book.
I can hear the pages. I'm excited.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that we weren't going to do video tonight. I got my fancy exotic collection book in the mail the other day. And I was very excited about this. I'm trying to remember what season. So there we go. I found it. I found Telesto. This is a very weird and awkward book to hold because it's not a big art book. It's a skinny one. It's like half the size of a normal art book, and it's really annoying. I don't know how this is going to go on my shelf ever.
Huh.
But Telesto. Vestiges of the Queen's Harbingers yet linger among Saturn's moons. Public key 053689 DWS Regal. From Paladin Kamala Rior to Acting Regent Petrovenge. Subject, Prison of Elders Containment Risk. Message is 1. Contingency reserves overdrawn. We understand nobility troth reparations. Uldren suggests we open reintegration talks. Have you discussed endowment support? 2. If Reef endorses support, Paladin Oran will engineer reinforcement. Message ends. So this is, largely inconsequential, but this was the beginning of laying the seeds for Forsaken. This was back in good old Curse of Osiris, a solid 8 or 9 months before we unfortunately met up with Uldren again. But this was kind of starting to plant the seeds that maybe he wasn't dead like we all assumed after the Taken King. And we would later get that confirmed when we went to Mars and found his ship in the Lost Sector. But I find it very interesting because this is a weapon that has always been closely aligned with the Reef. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we originally got this either in House of Wolves or in the Taken King, one of the two. And almost all the ornaments for this are Reef themed.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
very much seems like, and with the way that the constellations seem to be firing out of the gun as of late, that just is another link in the long legacy of this gun. But this is really the first time that we find out that Petra is really the acting regent. Like, she's actually been in command of the Reef because they assumed that Uldren was dead until he showed up. But by the time he showed up, he'd already been taken. So, or not taken, but he'd been corrupted.
yeah.
And, Fickrol and all of them. So it's interesting to see, like, we talk about Bungie laying seeds, and that's why I didn't fret too much about this season with the Nezarec stuff, because it's very clearly planting the seed for something bigger. Now, whether we find out what that is at the end of this season, or next season, or in Lightfall, like, cool, but it's another mystery to unravel in this universe. And I think this is a great entry in the story of Destiny's most, maybe not its most famous gun, but definitely its most notorious. Um, I've never seen an item cause as much problems in a game as Telesto has.
They'll release a patch that has nothing to do with Telesto, and suddenly Telesto gives you infinite supers when you shoot your friend with it or something. It's
Yeah, and it's so weird. Like, who even thinks to do this shit? Like, who even thinks to check some of
that's
this stuff?
that's why they knew we would find the Telesto thing, because I am sure there's at least, at very bare minimum, a dozen people that tried to shoot Telesto at stuff every patch just to see if it's broken.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, John, I think it's that time for us to get on out of here. I want to thank
Let's get
everybody for
out of here.
listening tonight. I would say and or watching, but there's never watching when I host. It's just listening. John, you want to tell the people where they can find you?
They can find me in Midgard. How about that?
They can find John in Midgard. That's one hell of an exit. Well, for that, you can find me hanging out in Greater Shibuya for another week or so. But no, really, you can find me on Twitter for until they go bankrupt, or it gets overrun by accounts pretending to be George W. Bush, at Josh_Finn 2 N's. I implore you to join our Discord. We're going to probably be promoting it a little bit more here on the show than we typically do. We usually do a plug at the end. We're probably going to do a few more plugs just because it's going to be a little bit harder. Twitter, I think, has become the kind of the main lifeline that Corey and I like to interact with everybody through, whether it's through the show account or through our personal ones. And I know I talk to a lot of you on there. We have started shifting a lot of our conversations away from Twitter. Andre, you're one of the guys I talk to pretty regularly. We've kind of shifted over to Discord messages. Feel free to shoot me a message on Discord if you got questions or you want to chat. I'm notoriously bad about checking my DMs on Discord, but I need to get a lot better if Twitter's really going to go under.
Why is something going on at Twitter,
Something's
Josh?
going on at Twitter, John. Well, I don't know what it is, but it ain't good. It's all bad. It's all bad. In the words of Charles Boyle, it's all groin stuff, Jake. It's all groin stuff. But come to the Discord, hang out with me, hang out with Corey, Johnny, and Nerd. A lot of the people that every single question you just heard was submitted through our Discord. I don't think we've asked for questions on Twitter in a hot minute. Even before all this started happening, we were starting to ask them on Discord more. We're enjoying the community we built up over there. We're going to be firing some things back up, coming up with the new season that'll be starting. There'll be a new dungeon. I'm sure we're all going to want to do dungeon runs and do some raid runs to get those pinnacles going and the craftable deep stone weapons. Over the holidays, and there may just be something that Corey and Nerd and I have been cooking up as a holiday event. I'm gonna try and solidify that here in the next week or two, but it's going to be absolutely absurd when we do it. So, John, thank you for your time tonight. As always,
Yeah.
it's always a pleasure having you on. Sorry that we didn't have any weapons to talk about, but we had some really great conversations about.
I mean, we talked about the best weapon.
We talked about Telesto. We talked about the state of the game. Of course, we implored you guys to go play Persona 5 and God of War Ragnarok, and then had some fun listener questions. So until then, until next time, take care, stay safe. We will see you Starside. And if you live in one of the states that is lucky enough to have hard Baja Blast, go have one for John and I. Thank you.
Boy.
Boy.